there is life abundance, life abundance.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Aftermath Podcast, episode 12. I am joined today with a few familiar faces within the organization. I'm sure you've seen them here on one of our early episodes and on the Twitter and whatnot. I'm joined today by Theory, the co-owner of Aftermath Esports, and Kerns. Kerns or Corns?
Either one. Doesn't really matter.
Corn Kernel.
Exactly.
Also from the DOTA 2 team. So, a little round of applause. Thank you guys so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm glad you have you
Yeah,
guys
so
back.
we should ask Corns for the origin of his username.
Oh,
Does it have anything to do with corn?
yeah. So Kerns is my last name, and some guy in high
Okay.
school, his name Francisco. I don't know. We just talk shit to each other sometimes, and he just called me Colonel. So obviously that slowly transitioned into Kerns, into Corns, into now I'm just known as Corns.
It should have been Colonel Corns.
I could have
Colonel
maybe.
Corns.
That would have been pretty good. But I like it. Yeah, my tag Trunks is my last name, and I'm a dancer. And I went to California one time, and there's a bunch of like dancers on Venice Beach, and you're at the beach. I'm wearing swim trunks, and this guy like afterwards I like jumped in on like their street performance or whatever, and like, "Well, you're really good. What's your name?" And I was like, "My name's Aaron Trong," and they're like, "No, your name's Aaron Trunks," and it just kind of stuck.
Mhm.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I was using something else for my gamer tag before, but I switched over after. I was like, Trunks is more personable. I like it.
Cool. Yeah, I like it too. Mine, a lot of people ask me like, oh, where's yours come from? Because they think there's some like deep background behind the word theory. Like, what's the theory? But actually, I just got it from the Linkin Park album Hybrid Theory.
Mm.
Yeah, that's pretty good though. That's personal
Yeah.
to you.
I really
you know
like
what?
that album.
I think Corns and a lot of the people in the org will say, Theory, you got one of the biggest brains for gaming. So
Maybe.
That theory work's going to work.
You guys are too nice. Yeah.
Right, Kerns. I know I've heard from Albino, I've heard from ZoneX that Theory taught a lot of people on like the team, like Dota, and everyone's gotten really good. But I know you came like from outside and you kind of joined us, and you were like really like pretty good.
Mhm.
Now between the two of you, who we never got a chance to discuss, but who do you think's better?
Me.
Corns. Corns.
See,
is
he
the
Hands
agrees.
down.
Hands
Easily?
down.
He's the best. He's the best player.
What
after
makes Corns better? Let's elaborate on this. You gotta explain.
I think I've just been playing longer, and I just have more heroes and just games underneath my belt to where it's just like I just like know things that are gonna happen in the game, or know how like fights or just how the game plays out just by seeing it so many times. It's just intuitive to me.
Okay. And now mechanically wise, we're gonna break it down. We're gonna make you guys like a stat sheet and everything. Mechanics. Who's got better mechanics?
I think that's a lot closer. Theory plays a lot of Meepo and stuff like that, so his like micromanagement is probably a lot better. Obviously, coming from StarCraft, it's just you just need that in that game. So I would say it's probably pretty close. I play a couple micro heroes like Lone Druid and like Nature's Prophet just a little bit, but I'm not running around, stacking 3 camps as Chen or farming at 2 different places on Meepo. So
And Theory can do that.
probably.
Yeah, I play a lot of like RTS, a lot of heroes that RTS skills translate well over to. Corns does as well, though. He doesn't give himself enough credit because he does. He has. I've seen him play Meepo, and he's pretty good at it. One thing though about Corns is his keyboard scheme is actually fucked.
It's
Like-
perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with
He
it.
uses WASD to move his camera in an RTS game. It's almost as if he's playing an FPS game controls in Dota.
Wait,
It works
okay.
for him, but
So you know how in like League it's usually like QWERT or just ER for
Yeah.
like any MOBA. It's just always that one besides Smite because it's also like I don't know different. But like I don't know. I've always played like shooters on console, so my hand just rests on WASD. So I'm just like I'll just move the camera and then have to move my other keys around. Like when people talk about how you press your W, I'm like that's how I move my camera up. So I'm pretty sure that button won't help me out here.
Wait, so how do you do your skills? Do you use your mouse at all?
Only for my teleport and a mic, and that's it. But
Okay,
like
you gotta explain your keyboard layout
some,
because we need to visualize this.
so it's
Yeah.
WASD to move the camera up and down, left, right. My first ability is Q. My second ability is E. My third ability is R. My ultimate is F. And then if the hero has multiple abilities or a couple more, it's T and G.
I mean, I guess that makes sense.
And then my items, you have 6 slots for your items.
Yeah.
I have Z, X, and C are the first top 3.
Okay.
And then for the bottom one, I have to hold Alt and press Q, W, or E in that order.
What the fuck? Why did you use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
And
Like,
then
what?
and then my neutral item, which is an item you can pick up off creeps, is F3.
Three.
Yeah.
Not even one?
No, one is select my hero. Two is select my hero. One is to cycle through my units, and 3 is usually for my courier or like my illusions, or if I'm Meepo, it's like my other Meepos. Let's see. Most people have like space as like last hit, but mine is like force attack. I have tab as stop. I have a bunch of weird ones. I don't know. It's just how
They're
I
not
learned.
labeled on your computer. You just know it. That's
Yeah,
your...
I just played for so long where it's just like, yep, this makes sense in my brain. Like I've changed my keys over time. Like I used to have all the items be Z through N, and N is just way too far to reach. I can't
You
reach
know,
it.
I've officially, I think I'm gonna make it a goal of Aftermath to get Corns as famous as possible, because you know when those pro players like get really big and everyone's like, "Oh, settings. What are your settings? What are your settings?"
Mhm.
Like I get like a keyboard walkthrough.
That's how like it's either Zai or Matumba Man, where their camera movement was the arrow keys on a keyboard. That's how they move their map instead of WASD.
So they take their hand off their mouse to move their shit.
I think so, when they're just like scanning around maybe, and then like
Probably left hand.
maybe like when they're just like moving around and not doing anything. But like some people have just crazy stuff. There's always that clip of Slacks talking to like Purge. And he's just like, my hotkeys are the caret, the dollar sign, and I just love that clip so much.
I mean, if you ever get like carpal tunnel in your left hand, you're perfectly set up to play with one of those like one-handed ergonomic keyboards. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You just gotta get the WASD, and that's all you need.
My camera
That's super
is out
cool,
of
though.
focus. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely the most unique RTS slash MOBA keyboard layout I've ever heard of. Because mine's like super default to StarCraft, anyways. Maybe not like default like Dota, but I use the same controls as StarCraft basically. And if something in Dota wasn't mapped the same as StarCraft, I remapped it to be like StarCraft. So,
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess there's a lesson in, if you're trying to get into a game, just remap the keys into what you're comfortable with and make it make sense for you.
yeah, apparently it works for whatever makes most sense. So if it works for you, it works for you. There's
Yeah.
no right answer, I guess.
When I played Siege, you use Q and E to lean. I remapped my left lean to my mouse button, and my right lean was on my keyboard. So when I would need to lean left, I'd have to press my mouse, and when I lean right, I use my keyboard.
That would
So I
hurt
didn't
my
have to
brain.
move like or twist my hand.
That's funny.
I wouldn't be able to do that.
I have one hotkey scheme that's kind of like that. It has to do with location hotkeys in RTS. I don't really use them in Dota much. I probably could, but I don't really. So I set my first 3 bases in StarCraft to 3 location hotkeys. Most people use F1 through F4. But for whatever reason, in my brain, I map my first base to F1, my second base to spacebar, and my third base to F3. And I don't use F2 for cameras. I don't know why, but it makes so much more sense in my head to go like F1 than spacebar, like with one hand movement, without having to like move my middle finger to hit like A or something.
That's the secret, guys. If you want to get good at StarCraft, you gotta copy Theory's keyboard layout.
Yeah, and
You know,
I don't know why I do it that way.
Speaking of locations, you were in TwitchCon recently.
Oh, yeah.
Corns, you didn't go, right?
No, I didn't.
Well, Theory, what I need a little bit of a recap from you because I think the podcast before we had a couple of people that were going, and now we have someone that went. So how
Cool.
was it? How did you enjoy it?
Yeah, so the trip was a super great time. It was really fun meeting everyone from Aftermath. We shared an Airbnb with like 8 people or something. We filmed a lot of content. We played a bunch of games. We hung out. There's a swimming pool, so we hung out by the pool.
Nice.
It was a hella good time. It was like half Americans, half Canadians.
Yeah. Any timeline on when we can expect that content to come out?
I think has there already? I think there might have already been a part 1 released on YouTube.
From the vlog, I saw the vlog. Yeah.
Yeah.
Math Esports vlog.
So yeah, so one vlog is out already. The Glowcast that was filmed at TwitchCon is out already. So we
Nice.
filmed multiple episodes of different podcasts. Glowcast, maybe Aftermath podcast, a secret time, like what do you call it? Like a time capsule podcast for Stormgate, since we're all under NDA. And yeah, it was a really good time. I met a few people for the first time. From the Aftermath side, I think the only person I met for the first time was Michael. So I got to meet Michael for the first time.
Nice.
The other co-owner. He was probably the coolest dude ever. So it was really fun getting to meet him in person.
You know,
Super cool dude.
speaking of first impressions, Corin, you can also chime in on this. Like, even if you haven't met anyone in person, out of everyone in Aftermath, who has met your expectations, and who have you met? You've been like, oh, I thought you'd be taller, or something. You know,
I don't think I have any impressions on anybody like that, but definitely somebody that's kind of turned into more of a bro is definitely Zonex. Like, there's always just games where, like, just me and him playing. We're playing like Counter-Strike or Dota, or just hanging out in Discord, just chatting away. So definitely, I feel like Zonex and me are like definitely grew together a little bit.
nice. What you think?
Bros.
Was Lily as short as you thought she'd be?
Yeah, she's shrunk since last time I saw her. No. So that was probably my 3rd time meeting Lily. Because I met her in San Diego and Canada. So
Nice.
I met her a few times. I met Dre before. I hadn't met Shayla before. She's part of the friend group, so she was also there. And then one of Lily's friends was staying with us. So there's a couple people I met for the first time, but for the most part, I knew all the Aftermath people except for Michael previously.
Nice. Wasn't Haku there?
Haku. Okay, yeah, I met Haku for the first time. Duh. Oh my god. He wasn't staying with us, but
Okay.
I saw him one of the days. And Haku he's super cool.
Is
He's
he as big as he looks in person?
He's
You know,
bigger in person. I was like, he's jacked. Like I did not expect him to be so tall and jacked in person. Like he looked bigger. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. What was your favorite part of like the whole trip?
So we went to a few different things. I'll start with the convention, which is always mid. Convention was pretty mid. There's a couple parties, which I'm sure was cool, but I didn't go to the partner party because I couldn't find any friends that were partners to go with, so I didn't go. And then I gave my Twitch con party ticket. I don't know if I'm supposed to, but I gave it to someone else. Or maybe I didn't. I don't know if I'm
We'll
supposed
cut
to.
it out. Is it?
But someone else borrowed my ticket, and me and Carmi both gave our tickets away, and we filmed some content instead during the Twitch party.
Nice.
Yeah, the convention itself is pretty mid. It's really just about the people who are in town and meeting up with everyone that through Twitch or gaming or you haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah, for sure.
But we also went to a football game at the Raiders Stadium, not to see the Raiders, but to see a college game, and that was pretty cool. It was nice to see Allegiant Stadium in person. And I also saw the Sphere, which was probably the biggest highlight of all of the attractions I saw during the trip. It is actually incredible in person.
Wait, what's the sphere? I gotta search that
You
up.
don't know what the
Oh,
sphere is?
It's a giant sphere.
It's a giant
Like-
glowing screen that's just spherical, just sitting in the middle of Las Vegas.
Yeah, like
Oh,
if
sure.
you look out of your airplane, there's just a giant
Ball.
sphere. That's a screen, and you could see it, and they play videos and turn it
Oh,
into
shit.
an emoji. It's
That's cool.
insane.
So you guys went to Vegas and San Diego.
I went to San Diego in
Wait, was TwitchCon?
last year.
Oh, TwitchCon was just in Vegas.
Yeah, just in Vegas. Last year was in
Oh,
San
okay.
Diego. Yeah.
How'd the two TwitchCons compare? Like San Diego to Vegas.
San Diego's much more in a much more walkable area, I felt like. And it's much more walkable to get to your hotel. The city is a much better downtown around the convention center. Vegas, a lot of expensive Ubering. Okay, city-wise, Vegas is probably more fun, but convention-wise, San Diego is probably better laid out. But if you were to pick a convention to spend $300 to go to, I would not pick TwitchCon. Like, only go if you're like people are going, because the convention itself is pretty mid. Yeah.
Horns, when can we expect to see you at one of these live aftermath meetups?
I don't know. It's just matter of like getting off work and everything else and all the other stuff in my life. Just a
Yeah.
lot, sometimes. But I would like to.
You're from America, right?
I sure am.
You gotta get your passport.
I do have
get
a
you guys up to
passport.
Canada.
I do have a passport already.
Because like if you think about it, your dollar will go a long way here in Canada.
Yeah, I'm like 30% wealthier in Canada compared to here. I probably should just move already.
Yeah, but then if you move and start working here, then you'll be 30% poor.
I just gotta find a remote job I do in America and live in Canada. That's simple.
Oh,
That's the play.
that's the play. Maybe that's what all the Twitch streamers need to start doing. You need to Twitch have like a base in America that you can put your address to and just live in Canada.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'm sure there's some legal issues with that, but
Yeah.
That's so cool. Well, I'm glad you guys had a good time. I haven't had.
Oh,
a
and
chance.
I got to go inside the sphere too.
Oh,
you
what's
should
it look like
definitely.
Do you need to get
it's a
like
screen.
tickets to go?
Yeah, it was kind of expensive. It was
Oh.
like $160 if you go the day of, but there's like a 1 hour film you can watch. Like the entire inside is like a screen, so it's like you're in a VR but without a VR headset, and it's the most outrageous looking thing I've ever seen. Like they turned it into a cathedral. They turned it into outside.
Does it look legit?
Oh, it was incredible. Like if you go to Vegas, it's a must see. Like
Okay, well, I'll keep that in mind.
it's incredible. Definitely recommend.
How much was it for the tickets?
I think if you pre-order, it's like $100 or something.
Holy shit, that's 100. That's 100 American dollars. That's like
Yeah.
150 Canadian.
Yeah, it's pricey. But yeah, I definitely recommend. It's worth seeing. It's a one.
Okay.
Right now, it's a very unique experience. It just came out like a couple months ago.
You think if it hailed, it would break?
The outside. Okay, so I got really close up because I went inside. When you're close up, it's the outside is not actually a screen. It's like big circular LED looking panels, and there's a lot of space in between each one, like basically building material.
Interesting.
So as you get farther away, the outside of it has an illusion of being complete, but
So
as
it's
you
like
get close up, you
zooming
realize
in
it's
like
not
on
complete.
a phone screen or a TV screen.
Yeah.
It's just like RGB. That's all it is.
Yeah,
You just get close
exactly.
enough and it just like
RGB.
mhm.
But it's so massive. Like the sphere is massive.
It's
so
huge.
You don't have to get that far away to make it look complete. And you can see it from everywhere. You can see it from the airplane. So
That's interesting. Oh, good to know. Put that on my my travel list. Bringing it back to international travel and events and stuff. Dota, and talking about a little bit more. I think Corns can chime in a little bit. The Dota season here, and a little bit of like an international recap because that happened recently and it was 2023. It finished up. Can you just talk about a little bit about that? Let's who won? Who won this year?
Out of our little league or just all of Dota?
Whatever you want to talk about first.
I don't want to talk about our league. It's fine. We can just talk about the international.
No. Not, now that you said that, we got to talk about your league.
Oh,
Yeah, let's
fine.
get an update from your season.
It was a tough season. We were definitely the lowest like average MMR amongst all the other teams. Like they raised the cap, so a lot of better teams and better players played, and we kind of had a little mix up on our roster. Theory had to play support, which not his main role, so we had to adjust to that. And a lot of tough games, a lot of good teams. I kind of just looked at it as I wanted just to beat Dark Horse, just because Sam was playing on it, and we're just know those guys pretty well, and they're just kind of like our rivals. But yeah, that basically sums it up. We played.
Yeah, did
We
you
lost.
Did you
more
beat
than we
Dark
won.
Force?
We went 1-1.
Okay. So
Yeah.
next season, then you gotta bring him back and
next season.
take him down.
But as for TI, that was my first TI I attended, and I went with a couple of buddies, and I had a really good time.
Where was it?
It was in Seattle. That was my first time
Okay.
in Seattle as well. We didn't really do any other things in Seattle. We mostly just went for it because like TI takes up to like 10 to 12 hours of the day, so it's like
Yeah.
watch Dota, eat food at the event, or go outside for a bit, and then come back, and then it's 8 p.m. You're like, I don't have time to do anything. Plus, everything was like closed at 9 p.m. there. There was only like a few places that were open late, so we had like limited food options. But
Yeah, Seattle usually pretty good for that, but then I think with COVID, everything just started closing early.
yeah, um, it was the first time they're back to Key Arena, which is now the Climate Pledge Arena. So everybody was talking about how it was great to have TI back in Seattle because that's like the birthplace of it. Kind of just
Mhm.
like, all the nostalgia comes from. So I know a lot of like the pro players and even returning fans were always excited to, have it back in Seattle. And so was I because I could actually, travel to it and not have to go to like Singapore and stay there for a whole month. But the games were super good. Everybody was expecting like a snooze fest 2-hour games because that's kind of how like the meta shifted, like just really super long games. But Game and Gladiators, the second place team, they did super well. They just like stomped everybody else besides like the winning team. So I feel like we just saw some good games. My buddy Chavez, his favorite hero is Bristleback, but he's the most broken hero right now, so he gets banned every single game. So he never got to see his favorite hero played. Meanwhile, me and my friend Miller, we get to see some of our favorite heroes played. Like I got to see Quinn play Pango. I got to see Collapse play Magnus. There was Razor and Underlord pick for Miller, some of his favorite heroes. So it was just so funny. We're just like enjoying watching our heroes being played to their full potential. My friend Chavez here, just sitting there on his phone looking at the NFL football fantasy while he's bored with the game.
Do we see any Meepo for Theory?
I think there was an interesting stat. I don't think Meepo's been picked for 2 or 3 years at
Oh
TI.
my goodness.
Meepo is a specialty hero. Like you don't just like, he's good. You just pick him. It's just like, no, you kind of have to have a little switch in the back of your head where just like, I'm a Meepo player. You just have to be, you have to be born that way.
All right, Theory. When are you on a TI? I need to see Meepo at TI.
If they ban Meepo at TI, I'm useless. Like what they basically already beat us in the draft phase.
All right, then you gotta get really good at someone else, and then when you go to TI, they're gonna ban whoever that other person is, and you're gonna sit there and you're like, fools.
For reals. Yeah, actually, this season in AD2L, I didn't get to play any Meepo. Maybe that's why we didn't do so well.
We had it theorized as like a pocket draft, like a little secret strat that we had. We're like, oh yeah, Theory's on 5. He's not going to play Meepo. And then we just switch it up. Last pick Meepo, something that they wouldn't expect. And just throw it on mid and have Yaksha play, I don't know, something else. Doesn't really matter. But we
Yeah,
never
well,
did it. We should have done it at least once against Dark Horse. That would have been perfect.
We should have whipped it out game 1, I think. Not game 2. Their draft was too good, but yeah. So one of the reasons is because we picked up Yaksha for our Dota team, and he's a mid player, but I'm also a mid player. So someone had to step down to play support because we didn't have a support player. So
Yeah.
I had to learn Pause 5 for this season, and I think it went pretty well for me. But there was a lot of missing synergy from like our original identity because like we used to play like aggressive cheese strats, and then we kind of got lost in trying to play a meta we weren't comfortable with.
Well, there's always next year, or next season,
Next
where you
season.
can rebuild and
The
reapproach and reattack.
Bet
Yeah.
Boom, a mid player that won TI, Toronto Tokyo, he moved to a different team and he also now plays Pause 5. So he had like his whole switch, like kind of just what Theory did, but he did it on the main stage. And that was kind of a game I was hoping for. I was hoping for Team Spirit versus Bet Boom to see like Toronto Tokyo fighting against his old team. I think that would have been really cool, but we didn't get to see it.
Damn.
It's too bad. But it did sound like a good event, and there were speaking of like gaming promotions and stuff. You guys know Eva Elfie?
Uh-huh.
I heard them talk about it, but I don't know.
She's
who
a
that is.
very
Is she an actress?
very prominent.
She is an
actress.
actress, yes.
She's an actress.
Oh, cool.
And I didn't even realize I was on TikTok and I see like I'm getting like Dota 2 like TI TikToks. I knew it was happening at the time because a lot of my friends are Dota 2 players, and it's just like Eva Elfie introducing this like one Russian player in Russian at like TI stage, and I was like, what the fuck is this?
They had her
And-
on stage.
Yeah, then she's like right by the trophy interviewing people or something.
Interesting. There's always something unexpected at TI. It's either something weird happens, a team you never thought would ever, be on the main stage wins, or something crazy. It's always something crazy.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time. What was the prize pool this year? I know it's always something ridiculous, but
This year it really wasn't. They changed like the whole compendium battle pass thing. They made it like very basic, very limited, not very many skins, not very many things to do, not very big as it was the past, I don't even know how many years, like 5-6 years, and not a lot of people bought it. The prize pools like before were like ever growing. They were like 14 million, 24 million, 30 million, 40 million, and then this time it was only 3 million.
oh,
Yeah,
That
so
sucks.
So that's insane.
yeah,
The team that won this time won the 40 million year, so they got a total of $18 million just for them. $18 million to their team, and they won again, and they won 1.5 million this time. So like 10 times more than 10 times less. So
yeah. I don't know why Valve changed the battle pass that much. They're not super clear on what they're gonna do, and they're also removing the DPC points for 2024. That's kind of like the points you earn to go to TI for the season. So I don't know. I don't know what their direction is gonna be, how pro play is gonna work, and of course after TI, all the rosters are gonna switch, and new upcoming teams are just gonna be put together after TI. So I think it's gonna be a big like shake up to everything Dota.
do you feel like Valve might follow like the franchising league structure that a lot of games have been going with?
well, they had that, and they're abolishing it. Apparent, like basically they're abolishing what they had, which was the DPC. So next year is going to be more third party focused.
Hmm.
Yeah, so they're going the opposite direction. They had like a circuit, the DPC, the Dota Professional Circuit, and next year they're not going to have it. It's going to be all licensed out and stuff.
So kind of like similar to old CS:GO when they had like
Yeah, DreamHack.
IEM,
and
DreamHack
that
and
yeah,
stuff.
they're going back
ESL.
to that format.
that's not terrible. I mean,
Yeah, the players wanted that. So
yeah,
I think that's. I think it just gives a little bit more freedom to like the organizers and everything, where they're not just kind of being like held to do specific things. They can do things their own way, hire different talent for different things. Because I know like a lot of the talent, all the Dota 2 talent, like they just had to be on the move most of the time because they were just like, all right, major here, major, and they're just all over the place. I feel like they might have a little bit more freedom to pick and choose, maybe.
yeah. And I mean, with I feel like gaming's going on like the opposite route of where we were going. People tried franchising, and everyone started to hate it the last few years, and now people are like, okay, maybe we shouldn't do that.
yeah.
Well, that's good to know. With you guys, any future plans? I know Stormgate's coming out. A lot of people in the org are excited for Stormgate. Corns, are you gonna try getting into that?
You can't even get me to launch StarCraft 2, so I probably won't even care about Stormgate at all. The only reason I launched StarCraft 2 is to play Dora Amon and Tron Lights or whatever the hell theory game mode he has. I'll
There's
always
some
join for those, but any of the real modes,
Hilarious arcade games.
don't want to.
Yeah,
There-
Corns is the Dota god. Like that's his bread and butter. I wouldn't want Corns to do anything else.
Anything
I
like-
think that was his game.
Anything like StarCraft 2 or any of the other RTSs, they just turn into like a Sims game for me. I want to build my base, have it look cool, little role play, have my soldiers go around here. It just like goes beyond just like a competitive game. It's just like Minecraft at that point. I'm just like, I'm gonna build a base. Look at my little soldiers running around.
I feel that whenever I play RTS games, I would make the biggest possible army possible and then send them all in a big wave.
The death ball.
And just because it looked cool, not because there's any strategy behind it.
That's funny.
Okay, so with Storm Game coming out, I know a lot of the guys on the Dota 2 team are going to want to try to pick that up and play it.
Yep.
Any updates on the future of the Dota 2 team?
So yeah, I guess Stormgate is a big part of the what's going to happen to the Dota 2 team, I think, because Albino and I plan to go play Stormgate professionally, coming from former professional StarCraft 2 backgrounds. The transition is a pretty smooth transition for us, so it makes most sense. We like Dota, but we're not as like good and passionate as Corns, I think. So I think Albino and I will probably split off into Stormgate for the most part.
Okay.
Corns, I think, will stay on Dota. Zonex, I imagine I don't think he'll stick to competitive Dota if like his brother leaves, because Albino, who's going to play Stormgate, is his brother.
Yeah.
So I don't know what would happen to Zonex. Maybe he'll stay. And then Yaksha is trying to go competitive in CSGO. So this may be our last season in the 82L as this 5-stack. We can ask Corns what he wants to do, because it's kind of the torch is passed on through him if he wants to rebuild or what he wants to do with the Dota team, I think, because we all kind of have main games, and Dota was almost like that fill-in game while our other games died out. But now there's new games on the release like CS2 and Stormgate, which we may switch to.
Well, Corns, I think I speak for everyone in the org that we would love to see you if you want to continue playing with Aftermath under Dota 2, but that'll be an update for a later time.
Yeah, hopefully all my friends that play Dota with regularly, they all suck. They're all bad at the game, so I won't have it with them. So we'll see what I decide.
Well, we will be here to support you in whatever venture you decide. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for coming down today. We're trying to condense these episodes and not really drag them out to be like 1 hour long audio sessions. But yeah, thank you guys again so much for taking the time today, coming down, chatting with me for the last 30-40 minutes here. Really appreciate it. It was a good conversation, and I learned a little bit about Dota, so
That was fun.
it was really nice.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, it was good. Once again, for everyone listening, make sure you go and check out Aftermath Esports on all of our socials and website. www. I always suck at this. www.aftermathesports.com. Also got our Twitter, AME Socials, Instagram, also at AME Socials, TikTok, and YouTube at Aftermath Esports. And Theory, where can people find you?
The best place is Twitch, Twitch TV/Theory.
And you're streaming a lot more nowadays, right?
Yeah, I've been streaming StarCraft mostly. I actually hate it right now, but I'm trying to keep the momentum going because people like to watch me play RTS. So if I can keep it going, then it'll turn into a Stormgate channel.
Nice. That's what I would love to hear. How about you, Corns?
I don't really stream anymore, but I have been uploading a couple of videos on YouTube. It's at Corns at YouTube. Just searching Corns Dota 2 montage. I'm pretty sure that's gonna be the next big series that everybody's gonna watch. But yeah, just quick funny videos of me and my friend just hanging out playing Dota and some other games.
Nice. And can you spell out Corns just for the listeners?
Korns. Corns. That's me.
So not corn with a C.
No, with a K.
Okay, sounds good. All right, great. Thank you guys so much. And that's